It is time to work on your soft skills, understanding that this is really what keeps you in the job, and this is really what opens more opportunities for you. It is not just about how good you are in regards to your technical skills. As we move forward, we're talking about STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And there is this phrase called STEMpathy that was coined by Thomas Friedman. Anyone interested in that can read on his work. And it refers to the integration of empathy, resilience, compassion in the study of STEM subjects. All right, the future is STEM, yes, but if we are raising people that are tyrants, people that are difficult to work with, it's going to be a disaster. So start working on your ability to have empathy for other people, your ability to have compassion for other people, communicate with other people, to be resilient in life, because then you have the whole package, which is what? STEMpathy. STEMpathy is really about being human in an era of robots and intelligent machines. A lot of people are already working a lot with systems and softwares and machines. When they do have an encounter with an actual person, it should be made. STEMpathy is really about skills and attributes that cannot be downloaded. They cannot be coded into a software. They cannot be found in algorithms. At least not yet. Where artificial intelligence is going, we might get to that point where machines are able to have empathy, and all of these things over human. And I pray we don't get there. Imagine a machine being able to feel for another human being much more than a human being. Where does that place us? If we get to that point, where people are preferring to relate with machines than with another human being. That is one thing we have that machines should not take away from us. Our ability to feel as humans, our ability to treat other people as human beings. People usually don't quit jobs. People quit bad bosses. People quit toxic work culture because they don't want to deal with other human beings. If we continue being toxic to one another, what are we going to do? We're going to drive the transition from humans to machine even more faster. That is what is going to happen. If organizations realize that keeping 5,000 employees is more detrimental to the goal they're trying to achieve, they will cut it down to 2,500 and replace you with a machine. Do you want that? You better become human. All right, mindset. We could talk here till tomorrow, but if you don't have the right mindset, nothing really changes. The mind is where the revolution begins. That is why you need to unlock. Whatever is blocking you, you need to unlock your mindset. Life is not always perfect. There is always a possibility for a problem. There is always a possibility for disruption. You could get a phone call or a text message while sitting here and your life is completely disrupted. What type of mindset? How are you going to handle that? These are important things. The problem is not the end, but it's the beginning of a different kind of life. I experienced that in my own life. I thought when I lost my job, it was the end of the world for me, but it sort of placed me on a path in which I am today, and I absolutely love what I'm doing. If someone had convinced me I could love what I was doing previously much more than I love, I was like, no, thank you, Aka. But you see, this is really what I love doing. So have that mindset to adjust as the world changes, as things get thrown at you. Have the mindset to adjust. Have the right mindset, a different perspective towards life. Don't sit and cry, poor me. Why me? That's not the right mindset. Don't be a victim. The moment you put yourself as a victim, you hand over your power to wherever, whoever, because you can't solve your problem. Victims don't solve their problems, right? You know what victims does? Blame. It was. That's what victims do. They do. They blame everyone else. I'm like this because of my parents are XYZ. I mean, you know that much, then adjust. You know that much, at least, because you could get lost without even knowing where the problem is coming from. But the moment you know this is why I'm like this, it's an opportunity for you to make the right adjustment by doing what first, fixing up here, unlocking it. But as long as you are a victim, nobody can save you. Only you can save yourself, and start by adopting the right mindset. When you have the right mindset, then you are able to adapt to change. Charles Darwin said it is not the strongest species that survives. It's not going to be based on abundance, right? not going to be based on how strong you are. It's not going to be based on how intelligent you are. He said it's not the strongest species that survives, not the most intelligent. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. That is really an important skill of the future. Be like a chameleon. Is the environment pink? Adapt to that. Is the environment blue? Adapt to that. It is a skill we need to learn to remove ourselves from that whole mindset of being victims. Yes, we know that a lot of things are happening, because so many times I hear people say, oh, Africa is like this because of colonization. Africa. When are we going to come out of that mindset to understand that, yes, this happened in our history. Yes, so many bad things happen in our history, but how can we adapt and move forward? How can we change that mindset of always blaming people and not doing anything about our situation? The next point is that you should not let your degree or your certificate hold you hostage. For those who already graduate and those who are still aiming to reach there, once you arrive at that point, then say, finally, I've graduated. Now I can pack my books, put them under the bed, and move on. That's dangerous. Because according to the World Economic Forum, one of the points we mentioned was active learning, constantly learning, being a lifelong learner. That is what makes you relevant. But if you allow your certificates or your accomplishments that you had in the past to hold you hostage, then there is no room for improvement. There is no room for progress. That era where a 4-year degree could serve you for a lifetime is over. That was in the day of our parents, okay? Throughout your whole lifetime, you may have 5, 10 certificates to be able to survive. You cannot just rely on a degree that came from the age of the dinosaur. My kids think I'm from the age of the dinosaur. They ask me a question, I'm like, I'm from the age of the dinosaur. Anyway, that's a story for another day. So aim to have multiple skill sets. Be willing to explore. The theme of this whole conference is about exploring, right? So be willing to explore outside of your industry or outside of your certification. Be willing to start a business. Who knows where it can land you? Don't just have that mindset, where you're only thinking of job. No. Not letting your degree hold you hostage is for you to understand that the world is changing. New professions are emerging. What we know as, okay, this is what used to be the thing in the past, that is changing. They're now becoming dying professions. So you need to be able to pay attention to what is happening. And if we start from the bottom list on decreasing job demands or dying professions, as I call them, you can see professions that are slowly dying out. But there are still parents today sending their kids to school to go and study accounting. Why? Because there is a glory that accounting had in the past. But they are unaware that the world is changing. There are softwares that can do accounting much better than any human can right now. But because of that glory that accounting used to have, many are stuck in it. Having an accountant in the family was amazing. Having a doctor in the family was amazing. So people are not finding out how is technology changing these professions. How do I make adjustments? They just, okay, I want to be an accountant, I want to be a doctor, forgetting that there will be a time, like right now, my smartwatch can tell me things that I needed a doctor before to be able to tell me. But I can have that information right now on my own, on my app. And there is so much more that people are having out there without necessarily having to go to a doctor. I'm not saying don't aspire to be a doctor, but find out how is technology changing that industry before you get into it. Don't think that the way doctorship, what's it called? The way doctors operated 10 years ago is the way they will operate in the next 5 to 10 years. No, it's going to be completely different, okay? So this is what you should find out before you get into any certification that you want. Go online, do research on your own. How is technology changing this particular industry? Don't just go into it blindly because this is what your parents say. Don't just go into it blindly because your uncle was a doctor and he said, go and be a doctor. Find out what is changing. And if we look at the growing jobs that are more growing in demand, all of them, the top 10, they're all in technology. Has anyone noticed that? These are all in tech. Many that you need to understand technology. That era where the conversations around technology was only for IT guys is over. When we're talking about technology, don't start pricking your ear or pulling on your hair. I'm not into IT, no. We are all into IT. I'm standing here talking to you. I have no background in technology, but I have to understand it because I found myself thrown in that space. So anybody can learn the very basics of technology. You don't need to become an expert. I'm not an expert, okay? You don't need to become an expert. You just need to understand how is it changing your particular profession? How is it changing your particular industry?